Welcome to part 7 of our grow log, and this is where I'm probably going to wrap everything up for this particular grow. In our previous episode, part 6, we had just harvested the first flush from our lion's mane. This is just a little bit of what we had. Not all of this is from that flush, but this is what they look like when they're dried out, or dehydrated, I should say. So pretty different looking from when we first started to what they look like now. Some of those 500 and 600 gram mushrooms or lion's mane that you might have seen in some of my other videos, this is actually what they dry out to. This is how they look when they get dried out. So quite a big difference. Now, moving on from that. As for our cordyceps, the idea that we had of kind of or putting that moist layer of vermiculite on top of our grains that were dried up to kind of help them or resuscitate them, that actually worked. The mycelium started to grow again. However, I ended up throwing out those jars, and it's because, well, two reasons really. I have a brand new batch going, and all of those jars are colonizing. I made a couple changes, a couple improvements, and the particular ones that we've had in the videos, they were missing something. So they were in the fruiting chamber for a very long time, and even though that vermiculite layer helped resuscitate the growth of the mycelium, I felt like those jars had their time. So I went ahead and tossed them out to make room for some new ones. These are actually some from the new batch. You can see that spot right there. That is mycelium, and the entire center is actually colonized. These are very hard to see. They've just only been inoculated for a couple days, but um, all of these jars are colonizing well, and there are many more than just these ones that I'm showing you. So that gives me a high degree of confidence that we are trending in the right direction to finally get some cordyceps growing, so we can hopefully go ahead and start spawning them to bulk, or transition into spawning those to bulk in the future. And the Reishi liquid culture that we had that I didn't really do anything with, I actually ended up going and inoculating a bunch of jars with that. So these jars are also only a couple days into being inoculated, and it's very hard to see, but they are also colonizing. So um, I have a bunch of reishi colonizing and a bunch of cordyceps colonizing. I have a bunch of lion's mane that I actually just cased, or just cased. And they're either in the fruiting chamber or incubating, getting ready to go in the fruiting chamber. So we've got a whole nother batch growing, and I am looking forward to getting those rolling. In the latter part of this video, I'm actually going to break apart the old cordyceps jars that we had. I'll dump them out and break them apart so you can kind of see what they look like up close and personal outside of the jars, and kind of get a visual cue as towards the consistency of them. And as for our turkey tail, both of the casings that I made, both of the cakes, excuse me, that I made, they did not make it. They ended up suffering from the same issues that our lion's mane cakes did, hydration issues, but because that mycelium was a little slower colonizing, they did not end up surviving as well as some of the other lion's manes. So the final cake that I had, it's in a video at the end of this one, and I actually break it apart from you. You can, it's kind of cool because right before I decided to go ahead and throw that particular cake out, I had begun to hydrate it. So I purposely soaked it and was hoping that that would kind of help resuscitate the growth in it. However, after doing that, I kind of realized something which I will mention in that video. Just keep on watching. And I decided to toss it out. So it's to your benefit to watch this entire video, and I'll actually break it apart, show you what it looks like. And right next to it, this is the cool thing, right next to it, I actually have another cake. It was another lion's mane cake. I think it was on its second flush, maybe third. And I decided to get rid of it. And I break that one apart too. But you can see that the difference between the hydration of this particular substrate, excuse me. The one that I just hydrated, the turkey tail that I just hydrated, you can see the color change in it. It's very dark. And then you can see the lion's mane, which I had never bothered to manually hydrate. I just use the humidity in the air to keep that one going. And ideally, I shouldn't have to manually hydrate any of my cakes. When I manually hydrated that turkey tail, it was for a reason. Again, trying to resuscitate it, kind of try to give it an extra boost, and in part just experimenting to see if I could actually get this substrate going the way that I wanted it. However, me actually throwing it out is to your benefit because you'll be able to see the difference in color again. Again, the lion's mane cake that's right next to it, I let it go naturally, and you can see how dry this particular substrate mix really is. So, again, the substrate, it really isn't an issue. However, it needed additives. It need I with other cakes that I made with that particular substrate, I actually put a casing layer on top of it, and they performed much better. Had I known about the difference in hydration between this particular substrate and previous substrates, I would have probably put either a thicker casing layer on or put a couple more additives in the actual substrate mix. Something that I did do with the rest of the batch or the rest of that bag of particular substrate. But that won't be in this particular grow log. Just stay tuned. Take a look at the videos that we have at the end showing the cordyceps and showing the turkey tail, me breaking them apart. Watch all the way to the end. You got a bunch of information that's about to come your way. And me breaking apart these particular cakes is something that you don't normally get to see. I normally save that for courses or my paid content. So definitely want you guys to see what these things look like. And yeah, there we go. Part 7. Here are our cordyceps jars. I'm going to go ahead and toss these out because we got a new batch coming along, but might as well take a quick peek at these, and I'm actually going to break them apart for you. So let's go ahead and dump the vermiculite out. Still see that we've got a pretty decent layer. That actually looks pretty good. It still feels like it's retaining, or it still feels like it's got the right conditions to fruit. We're missing something, and these have been in there for a while. So rather than keep them in there, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of them. Let's go ahead and see if we can dump this guy out. It's not too bad. Here is our turkey tail casing. It did not end up working out. Had trouble keeping it hydrated, and it was never fully colonized. It started to get a little bit more colonized, but didn't end up working out. And it's got a little bit of trike in it. But anyway, we'll go ahead and break it apart. See how that's trike? Or no? Well, it's tough to see. That's actually good, but there's a little bit of green up top. See, we actually got a little bit of trike here. See, it never fully colonized. Normally they're a lot more thicker than this. Or a lot more thick, excuse me. And here's a lion's mane cake. I already broke apart some of it, but this piece is a big chunk. And you can see how dry this wood is, or the sawdust is. This one's actually still pretty healthy. I probably could have rehydrated it, but I decided just to take it out. But yeah, so this wood, we're having trouble keeping it hydrated. You can see how all the way through we don't really have a whole lot of moisture. We need a little bit more moisture, or we need for this to hold a little bit more moisture.